strategy, take on sports fan entertainment. It is time to recap the Week 15 2016 NFL season games that I have not already made an individual video about. If you don't see me talk about it here, it's because I talked about it in another video. And by the way, the timestamps for this video can be found down in the description box below. Let's start with the Thursday game, then we'll go to the Saturday game, and then we'll go to the Sunday games. Los Angeles Rams, they go to Seattle, they lose 24-3. I like the Seahawks, I liked the Rams, to cover in this game, and they couldn't even do that. They held the Seahawks to 24 points. You saw a huge play from Tyler Lockett and some Russell Wilson nonsense. The jerseys for this game was the most interesting thing. I like the Seahawks jerseys. I think young people like them, but old people were like, these are just too much colors for me. They're wearing neon. What a bunch of bull. But I liked it. And that's the most important thing from this game. I mean, what else do you want me to say? The Seahawks win, the Rams lose. This has been going on the entire season. Let's move on. We have the Saturday game. The Miami Dolphins just kill the New York Jets. Dude, I think Bryce Petty, and I said this before, and I'm sticking by this, this guy's the worst quarterback I've ever seen. Ever. I'm not even kidding. I'm not joking. I'm not lying. We are talking about worse than Jamarcus Russell. We are talking about worse than David Carr. We are talking about worse than Ryan Fitzpatrick. Well, Ryan Fitzpatrick's not actually that bad. He's been in the league for 10 years for a reason. But this guy stinks. We're talking about worse than that clown. A 1998 draft, Ryan Leaf. This guy stinks. Johnny Manziel. This guy has there ever been a quarterback more likely to throw an interception in a football game than Bryce Petty in the history of mankind? There hasn't been. If you gotta do a prop bet, will Bryce Petty throw an interception? You better bet your house, because he's thrown an interception in every game he's played. There's one game where he threw two passes, I believe against the Dolphins earlier this season, where he didn't throw an interception. But in the other 4 games in which he has played, he has thrown an This guy is so bad. So bad. I'm hearing some Jets fans think, oh, should we draft a quarterback? We should stick with Bryce Petty. Are y'all drunk? You know how bad this guy is? Jesus. Dolphins, good. Very good victory for you guys. You like to see this. That tells me, this just leads me to say that, a couple weeks ago when you guys got your ass kicked by the Baltimore Ravens, that was just an aberration. I don't know what team that was, but this is a Dolphins team. Will you make the playoffs? Currently, I don't have it. Right, I have you guys losing next week in Buffalo, I believe, and to me, or in the scenarios I've been running, that's pretty much it. But maybe you guys win that one and then win against the New England Patriots or whatever, and then you guys end up making it. But we'll see. I really don't know right now. It's close. I'll give you that for sure. But impressive. Matt Moore looked okay. Let's move on to I know you had 4 touchdowns, but they weren't that great. Some of them were, but the interception was really bad. All right, now let's move on to the Jacksonville Jaguars, who went to Houston and, they competed, man. They were ahead early and often. They were up 20-9 at one point, but then Tom Savage came rolling into the game, and Brock Osweiler, this guy's now benched. He's finished. He's absolutely done, and, this is bad. They're going to have a quarterback on the bench that is getting paid $18 million per year this year. And the next year, I'm sure they're going to have some BS quarterback competition. And then maybe even Brock Osweiler will win that. But then again, he's probably going to be benched. The guy's just not very good. It's so unfortunate for the Houston Texans, but you get what you pay for, right? And you paid for a guy that you only saw for a 5-game sample, 5, 6, 7 game, whatever. And he didn't show that much promise. And the guy's already like 26 years old. And you wanted to believe he could be good. And he's just not at all. I don't know what you can do. Tom Savage, I didn't watch the tape yet. I'll watch the tape. But I don't know why I should believe this guy's worth a damn. Why should I believe that? Unless if he ends up being a Kirk Cousins, who we've seen just come out of the bench and then just end up being very good. Although Kirk Cousins has had signs of that. We saw in his rookie season in relief of RG3, he could do something like that. Tom Savage, year after year after year, the Texans have begged him to be anything, and he hasn't been anything. And when now he comes in the game, they win the game. Maybe now he's something, but they've seen him in practice, they've seen him in training camp, they've seen him in preseason games, and they haven't think he's been very good. So I don't believe it either. We'll see as the weeks develop. Let's move on to Cleveland. As Cleveland loses to Buffalo in Buffalo, 33-13, and I had the over for this game, for the over underline. It was 41 and ended up being 46. Good. I won money. Good. That's the only thing important from this game. LaShawn McCoy went off. God, this guy's so good. And couldn't the Eagles use this guy? In fact, couldn't the Eagles also use DeMarco Murray? I mean, Jesus Christ. Philadelphia, Howie Roseman, by the way, thank God he's back. This guy is actually one of the better GMs in the NFL of the past 10, 15 years. You know how much talent this guy has drafted? Like, they're leaving and they're doing so well. Like LaShawn McCoy and DeMarco Murray, he didn't draft, but the fact that they had him at one point, and Jeremy Maclin and Deshaun Jackson, and anyway. Buffalo, you run the ball well. Will you make the playoffs? No, you're not going to make it. You're going to beat the Dolphins next week, but last week, or a couple weeks ago, you should have won in Oakland. You were ahead. You didn't do it. You blew that game. I think last week you lost 2. I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure you did. You've blown it at this point. It's too late. It's too little, too late. I would not fire Rex Ryan. I really would not. We'll see if you guys do. I think it'd be a mistake. We'll see who you hire instead, but I wouldn't do it. I'm not a big Rex Ryan fan at all. Cleveland, will you win a game? It's looking less and less likely. It's a combination of just complete stinkage on both sides of the ball. Your offense stinks and your defense stinks bad. And there's such a large disparity there, to the point where you're now getting blown out every week. You weren't even getting blown out like this early. That's why I said early in the season, they're not going to go 0-16. They're going to win 2-3 games. Now, they're just getting blown out. They're not even close. Their defense stinks. Their offense hasn't scored more than 13 in like a month and a half. They stink. And their only hope is that the Steelers if the Steelers defeat the Baltimore Ravens next week, no, it wouldn't even matter. I think you guys are screwed. I was thinking that week 17, the Steelers may not care against you guys, but I'd have to sit down and look at it, but I think it doesn't even matter. I think you guys are just screwed. Unless the San Diego Chargers go to Cleveland next week and just sleep, man, y'all are in trouble. All right, now let's move on to the Green Bay Packers at the Chicago Bears. Packers pull it out 30-27 in what was a game of just full of roller coasters. Packers were ahead. Bears came back and did Aaron Rodgers with a hell of a throw. I mean, if anyone can throw a deep ball, it's this man, as he just threw a hell of a deep ball over the middle to, what's that clown's name? I can't remember his name. Was it Jordy Nelson? I'm not even sure, but whoever it was, he caught it, right? He did a damn good job catching it, and the Packers win the game. And some will use this as an argument to say, well, the Packers aren't very good. They're not going to win the division. But we just saw last week the Lions barely beat the Bears too. These divisional matchups, don't put too much emphasis on them. Like the Steelers, they barely beat the Bengals today. I don't care. These divisional matchups, don't put too much stock into them. So to me, the Packers are still good, and I currently have them winning the division. That's what I have. And in fact, now I'm even more confident, because if the Lions go to Dallas next week and win, it doesn't matter, as long as the Packers win against Minnesota. And to me, they will. Minnesota showed their true colors today. I'm about to get into them, so stay tuned for that. But man, Green Bay, they won. I think they're going to win the division. I think they're going to beat the Vikings. I think they're going to beat the Lions in Week 17 on Sunday Night Football. That's what I have happening, man. We're going to see what happens. It's so interesting how they're using Ty Montgomery in the run game right now. He was sensational today, and this is something I never thought he would do at the NFL level. But, man, he's doing it, and, man, he is doing it well. Let's move on to the Vikings stinkage as they lose 34-6. And man, this team stinks, and I'm happy about it just because I had the Vikings going 8-8 before the season. During the Sam Bradford trade, I was the biggest critic of that trade anywhere on the entire planet. I was the biggest critic, and I had Vikings fans after their 5-0 start just commenting away, and then now I'm the one that gets to laugh. I'm sorry, okay? Let's just go through it again. You traded a first-round pick for Sam Bradford. Now you ain't got nothing to look forward to in the offseason. You ain't got nothing because you know your GM, what's his name? I can't remember his name right now, but you know your GM doesn't sign free agents. He doesn't do it. That's not his move, right? He likes to draft. Now, maybe this year he has to because he just traded his first-round pick, so maybe now he says, okay, I'm going to just start signing some free agents now, but you need some wide receiver help. You need some offensive line help, a lot of offensive line help. I think you need running back help because Adrian Peterson, he came back today, didn't look very good, and he's getting old. Okay, so that's just the damn truth there. And how nice it would have been to have a first-round draft pick to draft Dalvin Cook, or to draft Dante Foreman, or go to your offensive line and draft Cam Robinson, or that Ryan Ramczyk from Wisconsin, or whatever, and have a nice piece there for you. No, you want to send Bradford for a 2-year rental for whatever reason. I don't know, to win one more game, to win 2 more games. You think Sam Bradford was worth it now? You should have just stunk with your first-round pick. Jesus Christ, you could have ended up with, I don't know, Jonathan Allen or just some beast in the first round. You know, we would have sacrificed a year. Teddy Bridgewater comes back. You know, he has now he has a better team around him or whatever. But okay, you wanted to where's the first-round pick for whatever, 8-8, all right? I was right. Indianapolis, they win this game. You know, I'm not shocked. I don't know why anyone's shocked. I told you in our predictions video, Indianapolis is going to win this game. I don't know why anyone didn't listen to me. It was pretty clear. The freaking Vikings are like 2-7 in the last 9 games. The Colts are 5-4. The Colts are all right. I mean, they lost against the Texans last week. It was disappointing, but they're all right. They ain't bad. The Vikings now, they're pretty freaking bad. All right, let's move on to the Pittsburgh Steelers as they defeat the Cincinnati Bengals 24-20. And, you know, this game, it looked a little dicey early, man, as Cincinnati got out to an early start. Pittsburgh was getting field goal after field goal after field goal after field goal. Dear God. But they got the touchdown to Eli Rogers, and then they ended up winning this game. I liked how the defense stepped up in the second half of this football game. I like how this defense is playing overall. They had a bad first half, but they had a great second half. I'm not buying, though. I really want to buy the Steelers as Super Bowl contenders, and they certainly are contenders, but as Super Bowl, I don't know, just participants, because that's what I had them as before the season. But, man, you know, this offense today, it just... But as I said earlier, let me stick to what I said earlier. I'm going to throw out this game because it's a divisional matchup, and it's on the road, and we know the Steelers aren't great on the road, and it's a divisional matchup, so I'll throw it out. But I didn't love it as I wanted to love it. That's all I'm going to say. That's hypocritical of me. Let's move on to the Philadelphia Eagles at the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens win 27-26. Philly, you competed, right? And you went for it on fourth down, not on fourth down, for a 2-point conversion at the end of the game to try to win. And I don't mind this. I minded the Mike Mularkey decision in the Kansas City game because, dear God, dude, this is for the freaking playoffs here. We can't just blow this, but for the Eagles, you ain't got nothing to lose for. Hey, we either go for it, we get it, Carson Wentz because the confidence boost, or we don't get it and we lose the game, but whatever. I mean, that's just it, because the Eagles season is done, so they can do whatever they want. I don't care. For the Baltimore Ravens, you win the game. You're still very much in it for the AFC North, but man, I don't have you guys doing much at all. I have you guys losing next week in Pittsburgh. I have you guys losing week 17 to Cincinnati. I think it's going to be a disastrous, and you know, for your sake, I hope you hope I'm wrong, but we'll see what happens. Let's move on to the New York Giants as they defeat the Detroit Lions 17-6, and I had the Lions winning this game, and I'm very disappointed. You know, this Giants defense, they're playing great, and I knew that. I picked them to beat the Cowboys last week, and I was right. But, man, they're just playing so good, even without Janoris Jenkins, who ended up getting injured in the first quarter of this game. You looked at, even without Jason Pierre-Paul, and they're still so dominant. They just slowed down Matthew Stafford. The Giants may be headed for something, man. Now, they got to go to Philly next week and win. I'm sure I believe they will. I'm not going to say I'm sure they will because maybe they choke, but the playoffs are not confirmed yet. I've been going through some playoff machines, and there is plenty of scenarios where the Giants at 10-6 miss the playoffs, and that's because the Bucs are freaking good, the Falcons are freaking good, and the Redskins are pretty freaking good, right? And they are so dangerous for you. So make sure you win next week. Do not go into week 17 into Washington saying we need to win this to make the playoffs. That'll be the biggest mistake you've ever made. Let's move on. And Lions, you're fine, but I mean, I think you guys are screwed. I honestly, not screwed, but it's going to come down to week 17, and perhaps you win it, but it's going to hurt. Even if you win in Dallas this week, as if Green Bay wins, it doesn't matter because you got swept by them, and that is, or you didn't get swept by them, but you lost to them early in the season, and that's on you. All right, now let's move on to New Orleans as they defeat the Arizona Cardinals 48-41. And, man, I don't get this Cardinals team. I'm so pissed. First of all, I picked this team to win the Super Bowl this year. Talk about a horrible, horrendous, terrible prediction. I mean, just god-awful. And then in the middle of the season, I can't even pick them to win the correct games and to lose the correct games. I was going off of the premise that, hey, they're pretty good at home. Their defense is pretty good. They can slow down Drew Brees. Oh, God, no. As they let up the season high in points for the NFL in 2016. I don't get this team. Does anyone get this team? This team, I think they're actually first, before this game, they were first in yards allowed, in terms of the least amount of yards allowed in the NFL before today. And they let up 48 points. I don't get this team. I wish I could just not pick them, but I have to pick them. I have to pick something. And I'm so done. They're finished. They know they're finished. And I don't know where they go from here. I'm telling you, and no one wants to believe it, but there's only one thing you can look at, and his name is Bruce Arians. I'm not saying to fire him, but it's his damn fault, period, to me. You're talking about a team that is so inconsistent, a team that is underwhelmed tremendously, and a team that's not living up to their talent. Who do we blame? It's the head coach, and he's been great in years past, but I think when things aren't going great, when they lose a game or two, he's too hard on them, and they just tune him out, and it ends up being a disaster. And that's what it's been this season. He's very good when things are going good, but when things are going bad, he's not as good as you'd like for him to be. Bruce Arians, I'm looking at you, man. I think this season is on him. I know Carson Palmer has not had the best year, but why did they give up 48 today? It ain't because of Carson Palmer, man. Maybe he had an interception or whatever, but man, this team has underwhelmed from time to time again, and I'm looking at the head coach. Let's move on. As Atlanta just blows out the San Francisco 49ers, and to me, the 49ers have to restart everything. I mean, just an absolute tear down, rebuild, reconstruction, whatever you want to call it, of this football team. It's a disaster. I'm a Tennessee Titans fan. I was a fan. I've been a fan for years, but I was a fan in 2014 when we went 2-14. Isn't that nice? And dear God, you guys are worse than we were. We had Jake Locker, we had Charlie Whitehurst, we had Zach Mettenberger, we had just a horrible assortment of quarterbacks. We had a horrible team. We got blown out week after week after week after week, and you guys are freaking worse. I can't believe how bad you guys are. You got to get rid of Chip Kelly, you got to get rid of Trent Baalke, you got to get rid of everybody. If they're a person on this team, outside of a couple of players, okay, so Joe Staley, maybe Joshua Garnett, although he's been terrible, Carlos Hyde, and defensively, DeForest Buckner, Arik Armstead, maybe Tremaine Brock, and maybe Eric Reed. But the defense is bad. No one's safe. To me, the only people that should be safe is, Carlos Hyde and Joe Staley. Honestly, from there, I think everyone's up for grabs in terms of trades, in terms of movement, in terms of release. They got to change everything to me. It's been a disaster. Chip Kelly needs to be fired. And Atlanta, you keep rolling on, and you looked at the last 4 games and you said, hopefully we can sweep these games. It's looking more and more likely that you will. Now, I'm afraid you're going to trip up against the Carolina Panthers, I believe, next week. But if you don't, then you're fine. You've won 4 straight. Do you win the division in that scenario? I'm not sure. I believe so, and you're fine. We'll see if that reigns true. Let's move on to the last game as the Oakland Raiders defeat the San Diego Chargers 19-16. And this game pissed me off for one very specific reason. I had the Raiders -3 in this football game, okay? The Raiders are up by 3, and they're at the San Diego 22-yard line, I believe. And Mike McCoy, who has 1 timeout, with 16 seconds left on the clock on the 4th down now, doesn't use his timeout. Now, I understand it is unlikely, but dear God, you gotta call a timeout there. Why is no one talking about this? You gotta call a timeout. They kick the field goal. It's 22-16. I win my money, and then you could get a kickoff return for a touchdown, get a Hail Mary return for a touchdown, have a lateral play for a touchdown. I mean, it's unlikely, maybe a 1% chance, but damn it, it's a chance. You'd have probably 9 seconds left on the clock, and you just said no? This is the most egregious coaching error I've seen. I can't, no one's talking about it either. This is so bad. You know how bad, I don't get it. I lost my money. I didn't lose my money. I just got my money back because it was a push. But wow, I can't believe it. I don't know what he was thinking. And in terms of this game, right? Because I have to talk about the game, not just me and my own anecdotal thoughts. Whatever. Raiders go to San Diego and win. It was a divisional matchup. It was close. I'm not going to hold it against the Raiders. Let's just throw out these divisional matchups that were closer than we thought they'd be because the teams that we thought would win won. Right? The Packers won, the Steelers won, and the Raiders won. Yes, they were closer than we thought they should have been, but whatever. Okay, so that's it. Those are my thoughts. And for San Diego, you lose again. Fire Mike McCoy. Get him out of here. This Kenneth Farrell, dude, this guy stinks so bad. We miss Melvin Gordon. That's something I didn't think we'd ever say. But hey, we're saying it now. We miss Melvin Gordon. He's had an okay year. He hasn't been that good. He's only getting like 3.9 yards per carry. I mean, guys, relax. But he's good. So I'll say that. He's not great. He's not top 10 running back. Possibly not top 5, for God's sake. So there you go. Those are my thoughts on the NFL Week 16 games, Week 15 games. That's it. There you go. Those are my thoughts on Week 15 games for the 2016 NFL season. What are your thoughts? Comment down below. I want to know. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe. And until next time, this has been the MJ Take on Sports Fan Entertainment, and I'm out.